Hi, I am January Francis A. Figuera. Attitude, high and low efforts. So, what is attitude? Attitude depends on the consumer's experience and knowledge. This will help the consumers on how they will consume the product or what product they will be consuming. In attitude, we have so-called the involvement. So, what is the involvement? The involvement is a process of decision making of the consumers in purchasing a certain product. The involvement depends on the information of consumers have for that certain product and the risk of that product that will give the consumers. So if the consumer have a plenty of information in that product, he will have a shorter involvement. For example, if I'm used to buy a certain type of junk foods, so I more likely choose that junk food than other product. So it will leave me no room for decision making because I'm already have the information and like that product. So in the risk, if that product have a higher risk, the consumer will have a longer decision making. So for example, if we buy a car, we waste a lot of money. So we all know nowadays cars are very expensive, so we waste a lot of money. So we really think what car we will be buying and what specification we need or we want for a certain car. So this will give us a longer time in this deciding because we will really think what we need and what we want.
Now I will going to explain the high effort attitude. Since you already know what is attitude that John Figueroa has been discussed, did you know that high effort attitude in purchasing decision is very useful for us as a consumer, especially when buying a product or services that are highly priced. When we talk about high effort attitude, it is a careful and effortful analysis of purchasing something that involve some consumer risk such as a financial risk where do highly priced item involved, social risk where products that are important to the peer group, psychological risk where the wrong decision may cause the consumer some concern and anxiety. High effort attitude has a lot of effort devoted in forming or changing attitude and making decision. For example, you're in a subdivision looking for a brand new house that is for sale. How long does it take you to choose a buying decision? Buy it or not? For most people, this scenario are different in terms of time, effort, emotional, and psychological work it takes to make a purchasing decision. High effort attitude is a cognitive foundation, such as direct or imagined experience, where the decisions are rooted in their own knowledge, experience, and rationale. The second one is the reasoning by analogy or category. It draws a specific conclusion from other specific examples based on the similarities between them. Values drive attitude. Values those drive our actions and motivate goal. It helps to establish our priorities in life and guide decision making. The fourth one is the social identity-based attitude generation. People act to increase their personal association with desirable attributes and outcomes. Lastly is the analytical processes. It examines much information before taking action. Now, I will going to tackle about formation and change of attitude. First, let's talk about attitude formation. Attitude formation occurs through either direct experience or the persuasion of others. Attitude formation has three foundations. The first one is the emotional foundation of attitude, where attitude formed through our emotion rather than through logical or thinking. The second one is the behavioral foundation of attitude. Sometimes we form attitude from our action. This can happen if we do something before we had an attitude. Example, going to an art opening of an unknown artist when we are unsure of art attitude. The second example is going with a friend to a particular rally or when we are not thinking about what we're doing. Because of this action, it leads us to engage in this behavior, which then lead to formation of an attitude. Lastly, the cognitive foundation of attitude. It comes from the direct experience with the world or through thinking about the world, which has an active information such as processing, deliberating, wondering, imaging, and reflection. There are three main reasons for change in attitude of an individual. First is the compliance. In compliance, the opinion is adopted publicly because of public pressure without actual inner acceptance and desire to conform to the expectation of others to avoid punishment and get rewards only. Soon after, the group releases its pressure on the individual. He switches back to his essential opinion, and hence his attitude changed. The second reason was the identification. When the individual adopts the attitude of a group of persons, like the family or near relation, because of his satisfying relationship with the group, this influence is called identification. Many of our basic attitudes are formed out of the support to this closely affiliated group. Lastly, the internalization. This persuasive communication delivered by a reliable, prestigious, and trustworthy person or by person who claim the confidence of the person whose attitude is going to be changed can change attitude. But the persuasion must fit in with the value system and produce genuine satisfaction. Now, we're going to discuss the low effort attitude in decision making. These purchases are not very important to the consumer. Financial, social, and psychological risks are not nearly as great. In these cases, it may not be worth the consumer time and effort to search for full information about different brands or to consider a wide range of alternatives. This kind of attitude involves a average decision-making process. In this situation, the buyer typically does little if any information gathering and any evaluation of alternatives is relatively simple and straightforward. Consumers are diligent enough to get a product they want, but they generally spend no more time or effort than is needed. Some example of low effort attitude in decision making was buying a bread, chewing gum, trash bag, or dishwashing, or any kind of things or product that are not needed to have an excessive effort for decision making. When a purchasing decision involves a low-cost item that is frequently bought, such as bread or toothpaste, the buying process is typically quick and routinized. Buying a new car is quite different. The extent to which a decision is considered complex or simple depends on
Importance of consumers' attitude. Consumers' attitudes are a composite of consumers' beliefs, feelings, and behavioral intentions. These components are viewed together since they are highly interdependent and together represent forces that influence how the consumer will react to the object. First is beliefs. A consumer may hold both positive and negative beliefs toward any object. Sometimes there are also neutral beliefs and may also differ depending on the situation or the person itself. Next is feelings. Consumers also hold certain feelings towards any goods, and this may vary based on their beliefs. There may also be feelings which are relatively independent of beliefs. For example, an extreme environmentalist may believe that cutting down trees is morally wrong, but it may have different positive effect toward Christmas trees because he or she unconsciously associates This trees with the experience that he or she had at Christmas as a child, rather. Behavioral intentions. It is what a consumer plans to do with respect to any goods. This is sometimes a logical consequence of beliefs but may sometimes reflect other circumstances. For example, a consumer does not really like a restaurant, but he or she will still go there because it is a hangout for his or her friends. Next is the attitude behavior consistency, and these are ability, competing demands for resources, social influence, and measurement problems. Uh, for ability, an example for an ability is a consumer may be unable to do so. For example, although junior high school students like pick up trucks and would like to buy one, she may lack a driver's license, so dili gyapon siya makapalit. So, for competing demands for resources, let's say that the student uh, would like to buy a pickup truck on her 18th birthday. She would rather have a computer and has money for only one of the two. For the social influence, a student thinks that smoking is really cool, but since his friends thinks it's disgusting, so he stops. He does not smokes. He does not smoke rather. Measurement problems. Measuring attitudes is difficult. In many situations, consumers do not consciously set out to enumerate how positively or negatively they feel about. Thus, the consumers may act consistently with their true beliefs, or true attitudes rather, which were never uncovered because an erroneous measurement was made. So, next is attitude change strategies. And these are changing the feelings, changing behavior, and changing beliefs. Among the among the three, to change beliefs is the most obvious way to attempt attitude change, particularly when consumers hold unfavorable or inaccurate ones. It is often difficult to tend to resist, and there are several approaches to belief change exist, and these are change currently held beliefs, change the importance of beliefs, add beliefs, and change ideal. So, why marketers should understand consumers' attitude in both high and low effort. It is important for marketers to know how should they market the products that are being offered to the customers in order to positively close the deal. If customers have a high level attitude, then it would take a marketer's much deeper skills in offering the product than with low level attitude customers. That's all.